the moment that it became about, how can I provide an integrated experience that's awesome, some coherency and consolidation. And I think that there is a lot of excitement, and universities deserve a lot of credit. The project that HUD did, the project that Bristol University did, the Rec Park project, open the eyes and empower and democratize access and comprehension. But by my last count, there are about 62 companies that are doing nearly the same thing. That's not innovation, that's replication. What we need to do now is we need to think, where is the next big idea coming from? How do we harness the awareness in the community and begin to create step functions instead of mimicry, where we have another gadget that does the same thing? That's where the opportunity lies, and the open source community, my challenge is, let's figure out how we take it and make it. Not wait for the next series of patents to expire so that we can have another 62 replications. Let's figure out how to put together some step functions, and to me, the step function is going to be in desktop utility, affordability, and the ability of creating a user experience that is amazing, that takes it beyond the gadget into all the unimagined.
Well, that brings up a really good point. Obviously, there are some roadblocks here. One of them is pricing, but we've seen pricing come down significantly. You can buy 500.
The Cube sells for $1,300. 12 months from now, it will be at $899, and 18 months from now, it will be at $499. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. We need to do a lot more, and it all has to be in terms of what can the printer do for me, not how it works and what the limitations are.
I agree with that. I think we've, for a long time, most of the people interested in the open source printers were technologists and hackers who want to actually play around with the machine, and often what they print is not the point. They want to actually do the printing, develop the technology, and I think that's good because that really pushes forward the technology. Again, analogy to the computer era, there were thousands of desktop computers back in the 80s, and there was a big shakeout later on, and a few of those survived. But really what made the big revolution was the point where computers were so easy to use. It was a no-brainer for people who couldn't care less about how the computer worked, but they wanted to use it to do something else, to build upon it. And I think we are not quite yet there at the consumer level, having a printer that you turn on and you don't need to see how it works, not care how it works. It just does its thing, and you can build your small business around it without thinking twice about it. And that's arguably what the Mac and the Windows machines were able to do. That really democratizes computing, and we're not quite there yet. But I think there's some work to do on the software, on the reliability of the end-to-end platform, like I mentioned.
So when we go from DOS and from BASIC and Fortran to iOS and Windows, that's when the explosion happens.
So my question then is how simple does it have to be? I mean, right now, obviously they're kind of hobbyist machines, a lot of these right now, but I can still go online. I can go to, Thingiverse is probably the best example of a great resource. Download a CAD file and print it out. That's not quite at the level that these need to take off. So do I need to be able to actually, create my own 3D model? Or, obviously, one of the big announcements last week at South by Southwest was MakerBot's 3D scanner.
It has to be as simple as if you use a laser printer today, you couldn't care less how the laser printer works. You send a file, and you go do something else, you come back, you have it. You don't spend a second worrying about it.
But not everybody is an artist. Not everybody can sit down and design.
I think that's the point, Brian. The point is that there is even greater expert user friction that has to be dismantled systematically on the content creation side. The printing side, we got a whole vibrant community that's working every day of the week and twice on Sunday to make the printer more reliable, simpler, cheaper, more functional. equal effort has to go into content creation. How quickly can I go? Can I go from a Kinect scan to something that's fully meshed and printable in 18 seconds instead of 18 minutes? Can I use my camera and upload, and make use of photogrammetry like we have with Cubify Capture and do it in seconds without knowing a stitch of CAD? Can I begin to gamify CAD functionality so that I can extend it from the 10 billion people around the world that are blessed enough to have spent decades, becoming proficient in it, into coloring book simplicity so that everybody can create. The moment that you have the parallel to Microsoft Word and PowerPoint and Excel and Adobe products in 3D content, that's when printing becomes relevant, to the other 99%. Until then, you're still, at the grade of experts that can create printable stuff.
I think there's actually a deeper question than that. Gamifying CAD and Kinect and all that's going to help, and more people can use this. But there's a deeper question, which is looking at the 2D printer analogy. Yeah, if it was as easy to use as a laser printer, that's great. But people have been making documents for a very long time, and everybody does that. And so there's an obvious step to, okay, everybody needs a 2D printer. Not everybody makes things today. And so I'm actually, not convinced that necessarily we are headed to super powerful desktop 3D printers in everybody's home. And I think the question comes down to, does everybody want to be a maker? Does everybody want to be creating things like that? And there's a big, swell right now around that. And maybe it's true. Maybe things are changing at a sort of larger scale in society around that. But until that happens, gamifying CAD and Kinects aren't going to make everybody want to have a 3D printer.
Well, what I'm wondering though, and again, the question keeps coming back to relevancy to our people's lives. And are we necessarily talking about something where you need to make an original piece of art, or obvious application is if you're stove operating software, wouldn't it be great to have something at home? I mean, is that the direction that we're moving in these, where you can just sort of print up a piece at home?
I think there's a couple of different skills that this will work on. So, if you look at computers again, we have computers in our pockets, we have computers on our desktops, we have computers on board, we have computers in the cloud. They do different things for different people. And the same thing, I think, will happen also with 3D printers. There will be printers in the cloud for making, you need a brass doorknob, you probably won't have a brass printer.
Which exists already, there's several companies doing that.
That will be something in the cloud that will ship the next day, right? But you will have specialized printers at work. You have a bioprinter in the hospital, you might have a stainless steel printer in a car, in a mechanic shop. And then you have printers at home. And what these printers will be, they will not be for making metal or for making biological materials. But printers at home would be for things like where the immediacy is important, like printing toys, entertainment, and I think food printing. But these are things that are, you want at home and you want them immediately. So really, it's not a question of will there be printers at home, or will they be elsewhere? It's which printers will be where, and what will they be doing? It's a real whole ecosystem of this technology.
Obviously, one of the big things you guys have been doing over there is trying to sort of educate people about this technology. I'm wondering how much, when you're out there, whether you're printing things in icing, we've seen somebody use the Famicom project to print stuff in ice. All these really interesting applications. And I'm wondering if commercial accessibility is something that you're thinking of. I mean, are you thinking in terms of trying to push this into the mainstream?
So we've actually closed down the Famicom project. There's just so many open source printers out there that we kind of I think accomplished our goal, which was to allow a lot of people to access it. But we are still working in the lab in all these kind of more esoteric applications like bioprinting, food printing. We're still trying to print a robot that will walk out of the printer. And we've printed batteries, we've printed actuators, we've printed all the necessary components to do that, all from raw materials. We're working on kind of embedding circuits inside part, which will also allow us to make more complex things. I think the kind of mother of the next step in 3D printing is multi-material printing, which just opens the door to so many possibilities. It's like moving from monochrome to color, from black and white TV to color TV, and that has not really happened yet in any full-blown way, and that's what we're working on. I think that's the next big thing.
Yeah, you mentioned food, and I'm wondering what the applications of printing food are.
Well, so when we open sourced our printer, I think the first application that somebody outside the lab did was to print chocolate. It's obviously a good material for printing. It melts, it solidifies. You don't have to worry about scraps of material. Somehow I think this whole area of what we call digital cooking, the idea that you combine multiple materials with a program and make things, is just can change. It's for the first time we'll connect information technology and cooking in a real way. Up until now, these two things were very, very separate. So I know what's going to happen. That's one of the things that's very exciting. A lot of possibility from making crazy pastries to downloading recipes to nutritional control. There's a lot of interesting things. We'll see how that unfolds.
So you inspired me, and particularly with chocolate. I've taken that on board as the 3D Systems project, and our expectation is that sometime later this year we will actually produce a chocolate printer that will be as beautiful and as amazing as any appliance in your kitchen, and it will begin to demonstrate this idea that with 3D printing, complexity is free and possibilities are unimagined, and it could also be delicious. To me, at the heart of I absolutely believe that 3D printing is going to change everything. It's going to happen exactly as Hal mentioned. It's going to happen in the office, in the shop. We already have commercial customers that are using 3D printing in their maintenance shops, not in their prototype shops. And the whole essence of it is that we can begin to create geometries and structures that we haven't even imagined yet. It's not just about will it complete, replace, and displace traditional manufacturing. Will it replace by multi-axis CNC machine or by injection motor? It's more about what kind of possibilities are available at the interfaces, at the intersection, between science and biology, engineering and music, art and math, that we haven't even imagined. How can we begin to bring text to life for children? How do we begin to bring mathematics to life for geometries? How do we begin to embed the New York City skyline inside the guitar just because we can? Because this is not about making a functional electric guitar. This is about all the beautiful details on the inside that are not possible to create in any other way from a fully functional material. And that's the beauty of the unimagined and the possible.
So let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, how do you see 3D printing change the world? We're talking about printing in chocolate. That's one thing. But what about actually printing, food as a